All right, U.S. history students, we are going to move on to note 6.6. So during the Gilded Age, city, state, and national governments were in need of reform. So if you'll remember, we talked a little bit about in previous lectures, corrupt governments, political machines, with examples like Tammany Hall and Boss Tweed. So corrupt political machines controlled city governments, and political positions were based on patronage, not merit. So very similar to Andrew Jackson's spoil system, political positions were given to supporters of the political machines as opposed to people who actually earned the position through merit. Corruption scandals, as a result, are going to plague the national and local governments as well. And monopolists were also involved in corrupting political or politics because they are going to use their wealth and power to influence politicians to favor big business. And of course, you can see here, this is Andrew Rockefeller holding the White House in his hand, indicating that he is in control of the White House. In the 1880s, political reformers began to demand a series of changes, and Congress passes the Pendleton Act in 1883 that created merit-based exams for most civil service jobs in federal government, meaning that in order to get a job for the government, you had to pass a test to prove that you could do the job. Reformers tried to make government more efficient and break the power of political machines by shifting power to city commissioners and city managers. So basically taking some power from city mayors and giving it to qualified individuals that work for city government. And we're going to see a really good example of this in Texas. So a hurricane completely destroys Galveston, Texas in 1900. These are images from the hurricane, and you can see that Galveston was completely leveled during this hurricane. And Galveston modifies its city government to deal with the situation. So politicians ended up creating the first city commission government to quickly and efficiently rebuild the city after the hurricane. So rather than one mayor making all decisions, a committee was developed to oversee different aspects of local government. And then other cities adopted this model, but added a trained and qualified city manager to carry out the day-to-day operation of the government. Some cities created their own government-run water, electricity, and gas utility companies. And these changes were more efficient and less corrupt than traditional city governments. Progressive reformers are going to impact state governments as well. States began regulating railroads and big businesses to help workers and to promote competition. And if you look at this cartoon at the bottom, the title says Save Nebraska from Confederated Monopoly. And so the snake representing a monopoly, and you can see here its tail is wrapped around the state capitol and the U.S. Capitol as well. So states began to pass laws to limit the effect of monopolies. Governments also passed laws limiting the work hours for children and women, and they create commissions to oversee and control government spending. Progressive reforms helped make state governments more democratic. So you can see here in 1898, the areas in pink are states, and the oranges areas are territories. And then referendums are a function that allows citizens to increase taxes for new programs, basically allowing citizens to vote directly to approve new taxes. These initiatives allow citizens to bypass the state legislature by putting an issue directly on the state ballot and voting to make it law. And so you can see these are state ballot initiative processes. But essentially what this does is allow an issue to go directly on the voting ballot, people to vote on it in regular elections, and it doesn't have to go through the state legislature. You also see the introduction of recalls, and recalls allow citizens to vote to remove an elected official from a state office. And this has happened in a couple of cases. There was recently an effort to recall Governor Walker in Wisconsin. And states also began using direct primary elections to allow voters to choose party candidates. So rather than candidates for office being chosen by the party, the direct primary allows voters to choose the people who will be running for office. In 1913, the 17th Amendment was ratified, allowing citizens to directly elect their U.S. senators. Prior to the 17th Amendment, citizens were directly electing their representatives who went to the House of Representatives, but they were not electing the U.S. Senate. What was happening was the state legislatures were selecting senators. The 17th Amendment changes that, allowing the citizens to vote directly for their senators, which is exactly how it happens today.